the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends it. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Good afternoon, everybody. Eric Frandsen here on the Full Court Press. Flying solo today. Jason Walker, he's off with family. I think he said he was going camping this weekend, which I ended up doing that last weekend, so it must be that time of year where those things happen. But thanks for staying tuned and being here with us all the same. Got a big show lined up for you today here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. If you're streaming on your phone, on the mobile app, 106.9 The Fan mobile app, or on the website, 1069thefan.com. We welcome you being part of the show. And, of course, if you want to tune in, or besides tuning in, if you want to chime in on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line, you can do that at 435-339-0321. And a couple of guests joining us in studio, or at least on the phones today. Opportunities to visit with Zach Keller, one of the new basketball players joining Utah State's men's basketball program. And then a little bit later on, Dalton Forsythe, who has taken over the Blue A Collective and slid into that more prominent role with that. So he'll be on to talk a little bit more about his role and what's going on with the Blue A Collective these days. But before we get too much further, let's get talking about Utah State men's basketball. One of the fun things that we get to do this summer is talk to the Utah State men's basketball players and have these one-on-one conversations with them throughout the summer. And today we get the chance to visit with newcomer Zach Keller, and he joins us now here on the Full Court Press. Zach, thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Let's start out with kind of your journey in basketball. I mean, you grew up in Colorado, highly recruited, had some great skills. You end up going to the ACC. You go to Wake Forest, and then find your way to Utah, and then to Utah State. So it's this is the way things seem to be now with a lot of college athletes. This isn't new, where players move from school to school. But kind of walk us through that journey for you and how that how you feel like you've developed along each stop of the way.
Yeah. So my first 2 years at Wake Forest were great. I had nothing bad to say about the school. Developed me as a character, as a man, and everything else in between. As we're going through, I realized maybe it's time for a new chapter, so I decided to come closer to home. Utah recruited me closer pretty hard out of high school, and so I had a good relationship with Craig Smith when he was there, so I thought it was a good choice. And I had a little bit different role, kind of same as a Wake, kind of like the nitty-gritty, dirty work, kind of backup big man. And unfortunately, end of the year, he was fired, and that was not a good journey or anything for anybody involved. So, but heading with Utah State this year, I'm really happy to find a good home, and I've heard nothing but good things to say about up in Logan and Utah State.
So I got to ask you, on some of the things that we saw earlier, they listed you at 6'10", 235, but at the practice that Jason went to the other day and talking to the coach, Coach Calhoun says, no, you're probably closer to 6'11" and 245. Like, where's the truth lie here on your size right now?
I've always gone with 6'10". He's the first person that's called me 6'11", so I'll take the extra inch.
Maybe it's the shoes you were wearing that day.
Yeah, I think I might have been told me a little taller, but I'll take it. But I am probably around 240, 245. Getting a little late for the summer, because usually during the season we lose a little bit of weight.
Let's see. Look, sounds like we're getting a little garbled audio there. I wonder if got you in a bad cell phone spot for a second. But let me ask you this about the weight. Is that something that are you putting on the weight? Are you trying to bulk up a little bit?
I think the main thing is just getting strength. I'm not trying to get too chunky. I got to be able to move around, but it's just mostly just strength, and obviously it comes with bulking up a little bit. So, but 240, 245 is good range for me to sit in.
What in this early stages when players start to arrive on campus, and I know there was some different jerseys that were worn in the open practice for the media, but choosing a jersey number for you, what's that process like, and do you really care?
Growing up for high school and AAU, I wore 32. Didn't really have too much significance. I just gravitated towards it, and I asked if it was free, and it was. So that's what I'm wearing this year.
Nice. Well, that's people in the state of Utah certainly know 32 as a strong number for basketball players. Let's talk a little bit about your skill set. How would you describe, what it is that you or your strong suits that you really bring to a team?
I think my strong set is mainly my motor. I'm a versatile pick and pop 4-5 man. I can shoot from the outside, drive. I'm a good passer and reader. But overall, I just do whatever I can to help whatever my team needs for us to win. I'm willing to do anything it takes.
So would you, you're, I guess, just a kind of a modern big man, if you will. The lines between what a power forward is and what a center really is, that seems to be blurred in today's game. But is there a spot on the floor that you tend to prefer to play, like in the post, or being a bigger guy that can roam the wings and hit the three?
Personally, I like being physical and tough on the inside, but I can do either or. I'm fine with either one.
Well, you're somebody that, and I've seen some film, you're described as somebody that has a really smooth jump shot. You've got a nice touch around the rim, and somebody who can do some nice things in pick and roll because of your size and ability to get to the rim and finish, but also if you need to step out and hit a shot out on the perimeter. With your size, is that something you feel like you've been able to fully take advantage of, or is that something you're still working on to be a better weapon for Utah State?
I mean, I can always be better. No one's perfect in the game of basketball. Like I can always be better in the pick and roll readings and keeping teammates open or going to score if I need to. I think it being my senior year and the past few years, I've been able to develop in that role on past couple schools. I think it'd be pretty good to utilize here at this level, and I think I got a pretty good shot at doing that.
Coach Calhoun, we heard him a lot at the end of the year and even in going into the postseason that he really wanted a big man who could score, and it seemed like he had some criteria that he had in mind that he talked about that his team last year seemed to be lacking a little bit. Do you feel like you've kind of filled that need, or is that something that may be done a little bit more by committee based on the guys that are there and that you can contribute to?
I think it's more of I can contribute to it. The main thing I always talked about me was being physical and being scoring down low, which I certainly think I can provide in the upcoming season, and just working with my team and see what I can and cannot do and see how things go.
How would you describe that competition at the position right now that you play here at Utah State with some of the other guys that are there battling for opportunities?
Everyone's super competitive, but no one's a weak link. We're all getting after every single day. We're all tired by the end of the day. That's really good. Even the incoming freshmen, some of them are not built like how I was as a freshman, so it's pretty cool to see. But it's great day in and day out going against them every day.
We're talking to Zach Keller. He's a 6'10", 240-pound power forward / center for the Utah State Aggies for this upcoming season. Tell me about your relationship with Coach Calhoun and how that recruiting developed with him and his staff and getting you to come to Utah State.
Yeah, so they called me out of the transfer portal just to see how things were going, what my mind was. I told them I'm still open. And we talked here and there every couple of days in the upcoming weeks, him and Manning, and kind of just went from there. I went for a visit, put names to faces, and he seems like he shoots straight coach, which I really love. Doesn't try to mess with any or tell you lies or anything like that, and I love that about him. And he tells you what he wants and what he needs. And obviously, if you're not giving him what he needs, then he's going to let you know. So I appreciate the coach.
And then since you've arrived here in Logan, I mean, just some of your observations, you kind of talked about it earlier about competing at your position, but the team overall, what you're observing for this team and for this upcoming season. I know it's early, but some of the early returns for you and what you've noticed.
Yeah, we have a pretty good team chemistry just for being together for 3 weeks. No one's young or anything like that. We got pretty good team chemistry. Nothing to complain. Obviously, it's only been 3 weeks, so we're still working through some things. But certainly by the time the season comes up, we'll be pretty good oiled machine working. And I think we'll have a pretty good year.
Now, you had opportunities to compete in the ACC, in the Big 12. What do you think about the Mountain West and maybe how that your opportunities to compete in those levels can help you in what has been a very good basketball conference in the Mountain West? Yeah.
So certainly each conference I've been in has different play styles, I'd say, and just being able to adapt to each one has been pretty interesting to go with. For me, for going to the Mountain West, it's just obviously I got to learn kind of what the reffing side, kind of what they do, because ACC is a little more tic-tac sometimes. Big 12, they call it. Not really. So it depends on the game. If you're playing Kansas, and they're calling fouls. But I think certain play styles, the teams are going against, size, and everything like that kind of goes into it for in the Mountain West.
Nice. And I guess just the other thing I'm just curious about is just for you personally, like when you're not hooping, when you're not in the gym, what are some of the things that you're interested in, that things that you do or hobbies that you may have?
Yeah, so growing up in Colorado, I'm kind of an outdoors guy. Anything with nature, hikes, running, just walking around, I love to do. I do love video games. Just a nice little pastime, a little cool down, and then spending time with friends and family. I always love quality time with the people I love in my life. So it's pretty much what I do in my off time, besides sleep a lot.
I can't blame you there. What part of Colorado are you from again?
Just south of Denver. It's called Highlands Ranch.
Okay. So it's possible that family could come out and see you. I mean, certainly they could go to Colorado State or Air Force to see games there, a lot closer for them to get to. But if they wanted to make the drive to Logan, it's not really that too far away for family to come check you out if they wanted to watch you in person.
Yes, they complain a lot about the plane ride to Wake Forest, so they're pretty happy and pretty close by.
Well, and I guess they're already used to that a little bit if they came to any of your Utah games.
Yes, it's nothing new for them.
Well, Zach, it's fun catching up with you and learning a little bit more about your journey to Logan and playing for Utah State. Look forward to seeing you wearing the number 32 on the court for Utah State and representing the Aggies well as they get ready for this upcoming Mountain West Conference season. Yes, sir. I'm super excited this upcoming season. All right. Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it. And, we'll catch up with you later.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, Zach Keller, 6'10", 240. Although I guess Coach Calhoun described him more like 6'11". Maybe it just depends on the shoes he's wearing for the day. But transfer from the University of Utah and can really help Utah State in the low post, but also out on the perimeter as well. Pretty exciting, versatile player for the Aggies. So fun conversation with Zach. We'll take a quick timeout and we'll be right back. Love to get your reactions to it as well on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line, 435-339-0321.
Make it 5 years in a row. Advanced Heating and AC is honored to be named gold medalist for the best of Northern Utah in the AC HVAC category. They thank you for your support and vote of confidence in their company. You have many choices when it comes to your home's heating and air conditioning system. Make sure you choose the 5-time gold medal winning company, Advanced Heating and AC. Call 752-7272 or stop by their showroom west of DI, online at advancedheating-ac.com.
Les Olson IT structured cabling is second to none. Tired of old and inefficient cabling? Have an upgrade or remodel planned? Building a new network from the ground up? We offer the very best in low voltage cabling installation, including data, phone, fiber optic, and more. Ask us how to get your free consultation today.
Les Olson IT.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Emily Peterson, founder of Ceremony Luxury Blankets and Gifts. We started right here in Logan over 18 years ago, and what began as a way to help our daughter has grown into a local business that still does everything right here in Cache Valley, from designing to shipping to our shop that's open to the public. Our blankets are made with purpose and care. They're comfort, connection, and home. Ceremony, born in Logan and made for the moments that matter. Come shop our store on 10th West, right next to iFit in Logan.
They can put your logo on it because that's what they do at the Logo Shop. They can put your logo on anything from pens and mugs to golf balls and clocks. The Logo Shop is also the place for your team shirts and uniforms. So if your team wants to look good, call the Logo Shop and order your team uniforms today. Colors, logo, and everything else looking just like you want it to. Get your team shirts and uniforms from the Logo Shop. Call them to get a bid or just drop by 40 South Main in Logan.
The Logo Shop. The Logo Stop. The Logo Shop.
Retirement. Are you ready? Adams Wealth Advisors specializes in preparing you for a secure retirement. There's no reason to feel frustrated. The team at Adams Wealth will create a personalized plan that includes timing of retirement, reliable income sources, Social Security, estate planning, and more. Adams Wealth Advisors has a team of CPA, certified financial planners, Social Security experts to help you plan and retire with confidence. Call today, 752-1702, or visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com. Your dream retirement starts here.
The patio is open. The chips are endless. Drinks on tap. You know it's got to be Cafe Sabor, Cache Valley's best Mexican restaurant, gold winner in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Experience Locals Day every Thursday with a huge burrito, endless chips and soda, only $7.95. That's a complete lunch for just $7.95. Finding any lunch under $10 is nearly impossible. Every Thursday, drinks, chips, and massive burrito, just $7.95. The patio, the sun, the fun at Cafe Sabor in the historic train station on 6th Weston Center in Logan.
The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools, the full court press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Valley Cruise-In concert is tomorrow night. Rock with the band's Lit and Fuel. You can buy your tickets at the Cache Valley Cruise-In website. You'll also get them at Lee's Marketplace. Plus, your ticket gives you access to everything, including over 1,000 classic cars, custom builds. This year's giveaway car is a 2001 Chrysler Prowler. There'll also be food on hand, lots of different vendors. Buy your tickets now. Be part of Cache Valley's biggest summer party. So the festivities begin on Thursday. The concert is Thursday night, and then the parade, it will be on Saturday. But not all of the cars are in the parade. So if you want to see the best vehicles, best custom builds, buy your ticket and go hang out at the fairgrounds this weekend. That was a lot of fun talking to Zach Keller, the new power forward / center for Utah State by way of the University of Utah. It looks like Keller was on a nice trajectory as a freshman and part of his sophomore year at Wake Forest, then kind of got overlooked. Another player kind of moved into his spot, and then was transferred to Utah, tried to get going there, had an injury that kind of maybe slowed him down a little bit. Other players kind of stepped into a larger role there. And so this is a guy who's had other people kind of move in front of him and taken minutes and opportunities away from him. So he's one that I'm really interested to see if he can take all those things that he has learned, all the skill development that he's had access to at Wake Forest and at Utah, and kind of break out and have that moment here to finish with a strong hoorah at the Utah State University. So interesting to see how that works out for him, because I really like his potential for somebody that can roll to the rim, can do things in a pick and roll, pick and pop or pick and roll to the rim, but also an ability to defend in the post, but also on the perimeter with that size and length. So excited to see how that works out, and if he is somebody that can break through and help the Aggies. Probably right now, if I were to guess, I would think that Carson Templin is ahead of him. David Uweezy is certainly surprising as a freshman. But Zach Keller and Gary Clark are two others that are going to be in the mix at that position. So it just depends on what kind of size and length for the different rotations and lineups that Coach Calhoun will want to go with to get Keller out there. But this is an important summer for Zach and for his teammates. And as this bunch of new guys are showing up, they're filling each other out. This coaching staff is trying to figure out what they really have right now and letting the players fine-tune a lot of things as well in their own individual skill sets. So, it's fun talking with him. We'll have the podcast of our conversation posted soon, before too long, on our website, on our mobile app, and you can also find it on social media with that individual conversation with Zach Keller. 435-339-0321 for those who want to chime in, and your reactions to the interview with Zach Keller on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line. 9315 chiming in says, sounds like a no-nonsense guy that's all about business and happy to be able to have family come watch games now that he's closer. Yeah, I mean, he's not that much further away than where he was in Salt Lake. Actually, he's farther away slightly. But, as far as family being able to watch some of his away games, it's certainly going to be a lot easier. I mean, just an hour or two down the road to Colorado Springs, to the Air Force Academy, and then a couple hours north to Fort Collins to watch them at Colorado State. So a great opportunity for family to be somewhat close and to play in a good basketball league and for a good basketball team. And interesting to hear some of his reasons and opportunities to come here to Logan. And it doesn't feel like he's somebody that has an outsized ego about himself, about being that guy that Coach Calhoun was looking for. And I don't think when you look at this roster, you could clearly say the thing he was looking for was met or was filled at the end of the season and into the postseason about a specific player that he wanted, at least player type that he wanted. But Zach Keller can help with some of that. And I think that some of his skills and abilities help Utah State achieve what they want. Probably, honestly, is a little bit more like Big Fish, like Isaac Johnson. But I think he's probably going to be more, based on some of the film that I've seen, he is going to be more physical than Johnson was. So somebody who can help in the low post, have a little bit more physicality than Johnson had, but can also stretch out and hit the three like Johnson did. So it's a pretty similar comp, but I think Keller is probably going to be a little bit more physical and imposing in what he can do in the low post to help Utah State. Now, rebounding, that is a bit of an issue based on some of the stats of his career so far. Someone that size should have a better rebounding rate than what he has done so far. So you'd love to see him be a little bit more aggressive in chasing the loose ball down and securing it for his team. So some of the things to watch for as the summer continues for Utah State men's basketball. Speaking of basketball, Utah Jazz are involved in the Salt Lake City Summer League, and they have been hosting their own Summer League for a long time. 4 teams are involved. Besides the Jazz, it's the Memphis Grizzlies, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Philadelphia 76ers. Those are the 4 teams participating beginning on Saturday, and they will be taking place at the Huntsman Center this year. Delta Center's under renovation, and it's been a minute. Games have taken place in Delta Center before, but it's been maybe 6 or 7 years, maybe more like 8 since those games have taken place at the Huntsman Center. But that's what's going to take place this year. And I've got a pair of tickets to go to the Saturday session on July 5th. And it's to 2 games. The first game is the Grizzlies versus the Thunder. That's at 5. And then the Jazz will take on the 76ers, and that's at 7. Pretty easy way to win these 2 tickets. Over the course of the show, I'll give these away. I'll announce the winner at the back end of the show around 7:52, 7:54, something like that. but looking for what or who, maybe that's the best word. Who are you most interested to watch in this year's Summer League in Salt Lake? Could be one of these new rookies, could be someone that was on the team last year or one of the first year guys, could be a player who's been here for 2 years, just kind of monitoring their development. But I want you to tell me if you can go. Don't text in if you can't go, because we're going to be selecting from those who reply. But if you would like to go, love to hear from you on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line. Who are you most interested to see and observe at the Salt Lake City Summer League? Again, those dates, the games will be taking place July 5th, 7th, and 8th in the Huntsman Center. I've got a pair of tickets to give away today for the July 5th session. If you can text in and let me know who you're most interested to watch at the Summer League. Of course, Jazz will play the Sixers at 7, Grizzlies facing the Thunder at 5. The number is 435-339-0321. For those who want to be a part of this contest and try to win, only let me know and text in if you can use the tickets. I don't want to be trying to give tickets away to somebody who won't be able to go. We'll take a quick time out here in the Full Court Press, and when we come back, we're talking to Dalton Forsythe, who has just been elevated to the top person in charge of the Blue A Collective, the organization in charge of, or at least assisting with, name, image, likeness opportunities for Utah State student athletes. Now, there's been some changes recently with not just the organization, the Blue A Collective, but also in how NIL deals work and revenue sharing and the house settlement. So there's a lot of different things to touch on and to get cleared up and made more clear. And so we'll have a conversation with Dalton coming up on the other side of this timeout. Again, if you want any questions for that, how the Blue A Collective works or what the future looks like for that, you can always chime in on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line, 435-339-0321.
Express Tire, tires for less. In and out with zero stress. Express Tire, tires for less. In and out with zero stress.
Located at 3200 North Main.
A diamond is forever and is perfect to represent your love. For those special occasions, give her a natural, one-of-a-kind diamond, as unique as she is. Our exclusive brand of Needham Brilliant Diamonds are white in color, high in clarity, and are recognized for their precise cut. These diamonds are natural, untreated, and are the real thing. Show her you care enough to give her a diamond, an investment for generations to come. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. SC Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
No matter what the conditions, DD Auto and Salvage can get your vehicle up and off your property. Now is the time to plan to make extra cash by calling DD Auto and Salvage and moving that old vehicle. Let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy to get rid of your junker vehicles, paying you the most money possible. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
July is the month of backyard barbecues, fireworks, and parades. With all the hustle and bustle, it's important to remember the true reason for celebration: independence. At Primrose Home Care and Hospice, we're devoted to helping you and your loved ones stay independent. Our bodies experience lots of changes in our lives, but that doesn't mean we have to change our life. Primrose is dedicated to helping you maintain a healthy, active lifestyle so you don't have to give anything up. After all, independence is our way of life. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call 787-1369. Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
This is Catherine Buse with Cache Valley Bank, and we understand that concerns about fraud can weigh heavily on you. Your peace of mind is important to us. That's why we're committed to looking out for you and your family. Our team keeps a vigilant eye on your account. If you ever have concerns or need support, we're just a call or visit away. Whether you need advice or just someone to talk to, our friendly staff is ready to help. We're more than just a bank. We're your neighbors, and we care about your security. Visit your local branch today. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
When grid failures and severe weather cause power outages, your business might take a hit, or at home, you could lose your refrigerated food storage. Generac Standby Power Solutions help ensure an uninterrupted power supply. Generac is the #1 brand of standby generators. Get yours today from Golden Spike Electric, your trusted source for safety and security. Golden Spike Electric, powering your peace of mind. Online at gscgenerators.com or call 257-3016. They also service other models.
Following the local teams, it's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Mountain Valley Heating and Air Conditioning wants you to feel the love as they give away and install 5 new furnace and air conditioners to families in need. Boy, could you, how hot it is right now, you could definitely use an air conditioner. Mountain Valley Heating and Air is donating a full HVAC system, the equipment, the materials, the installation services. But they want to do it to help a deserving family in need. So got to nominate this family, somebody who needs it most. And you can do that by going to mtnvalleyhvac.com. Click on the Feel the Love tab. Again, mtnvalleyhvac.com. So a lot of changes going on in the world of college athletics, and players transferring, players being able to get paid from different endorsement opportunities, but now from the universities themselves. It continues to be evolving, but hopefully a little bit more clarity in some of this as well with some new legislation that's come down. So we wanted to reach out and get some more clarity on how this affects things close to home. Dalton Forsythe recently, it's been a part of the Blue A Collective and just recently elevated to the top position with that group. And he joins us now here on the Full Court Press. Dalton, thanks for your time today. Let's see. Sorry, I think I had the wrong button pushed there, Dalton. We got you now.
Yes, I'm here.
There we go. Thank you. That was my bad. Let's first of all explain your role with Blue A Collective and what changed for you recently.
Yeah, so the last couple of days we made a group decision to name me director of the collective, and what that really entails these days is navigating relationships with a couple of key groups. Number one is always going to be our donors. We could not provide the level of support that we do to Utah State without our good donors. And so working with them is obviously a really important piece. The second is obviously our coaches and their teams, so their players. And then the third is the athletic department and the administration at the university. And so my role at this point is to kind of navigate and maintain relationships with all of those groups and make sure that our mission to provide a competitive edge to Utah State athletics continues to get pushed forward.
So this the whole concept of name, image, likeness was initially intended to be if an athlete wanted to put on their own camp, they could earn some money to do that. If somebody wanted to ask them to help do a commercial to endorse their product, they could do that. But then it also morphed into just basic, it seemed to be just pay for play. We're going to line up amount of money to give you just to get you to come here as part of the recruitment process. How has that kind of changed, or is that still part of what's going on with name, image, likeness with this recent House settlement?
Yeah. So like you said, I think the initial change was a good one. You think of guys like Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, what he could have been making legally. And I think it moved us in the right direction to say, hey, an athlete can capitalize on their own name, image, and likeness. It just made sense. But you're right. It very quickly devolved, I would say, into a mechanism for schools to use money to incentivize players to show up at a university and play, or to incentivize players to stay at a university, right? I think another portion of the problem ended up being the way the transfer portal evolved, where kids have multiple points in any given year that they can transfer out of an institution, a lot of times without any loss of eligibility. And the reality is that most schools have to manage those deals under the guise of NIL. Your contract saying the public-facing piece kind of says, like, this is name, image, and likeness. But the real guts of it is you're doing it to help build more competitive teams for your athletics programs, whether it's basketball, football, women's basketball, whatever it is at a university. But that is still the reality of it. And the same goes for the revenue sharing model. We have the ability for the school to put in a piece of the pie now and to help us with some of the mechanics of managing payments and contracting and those sorts of things. But I think what you're seeing in the shift into revenue sharing is that schools are attempting to use the revenue that gets shared to build up the revenue producing sports, right? It has to kind of stay in that monetary loop. So you're not really seeing the NIL piece get pushed as hard now that we can say rev share, but it still has that same flavor to it. That it feels a lot more like pay for play than anything else.
How much is we see that the cap is supposed to be $20.5 million, and Utah State's not making $20.5 million in revenue. So what are we seeing kind of initially on what that revenue share opportunity would look like here at a local level?
Yeah, so I guess a couple of things. Number one, from a clerical perspective, Utah State has opted into revenue sharing. The NCAA gave everybody a year to decide if they were going to do it, and then you're obligated to opt in next year. We opted in because whether you opted in or not, you were going to have to pay some of the costs associated with it. So we figured, we would just take the option, right? Give ourselves options moving forward. The standard messaging that we've gotten from the athletic department is that even though we're opted in, we are not a positive revenue producing school. Most of our sports lose money year over year, with football being the exception at times. And so despite the fact we're opted in, we are expecting no revenue to come out of Utah State to pay athletes in the next year. I couldn't give you all the details of that. That's more of an athletic director decision. I think some of it comes down to our departure from the Mountain West and the timing of the money that we'll be getting out of the Pac-12 when that comes the following year. So the opportunity, the revenue sharing cap, as you mentioned, is very high. What we're expecting or what's been committed from the school as of now is still zero.
So with just kind of working through things with the different athletes, the different team sports that Utah State has, we had a conversation with Wesley Brooks just a few weeks ago, and he was kind of talking about some of his challenges of building a team and lamenting that he had zero NIL budget. And I recognize there are going to be some programs, some teams that just unfortunately are not going to have NIL budgets associated to them, while others are going to have a lot more attention their way because of what they generate in kind. How has that been working out so far in your observations in the Blue Wave Collective in trying to make sense of some of that and getting money where it goes to help keep certain players in Logan, but also develop opportunities for others?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think there's a couple of things we've tried to weigh out at the collective. And the first is that in general, our sentiment is that it's a lot easier to keep a team on top of a pile than it is to build a team all the way up from zero and get them to the top of the Mountain West or the Pac. And so as an example, we feel like it's easier for us to keep us towards the top of the Mountain West in this next year in a sport like basketball than it may be to take some other sport and, build from last place to first place. The investment is going to be kind of disproportionate in our opinion. The second piece is that, I'm a football guy. I played football here. I don't want to say anything bad about football, but last year was a tough year, right? Tough to watch, tough for fans to really appreciate and want to show up to games at times. But at the end of the day, football at this school, with the way the revenue works out internally and the way that it funds a lot of other sports, football has to lead the way. And so our decision-making process has always been football first. And with the way things have gone since Blue Wave's inception, basketball second. And then we have started to, in the last couple of, let's call it 6 months, we've worked a little bit with women's volleyball, and we've given Coach Brooks a small budget for women's basketball to help him take on a couple of players that we feel like will make a really big difference for their team going forward. And so there is no perfect answer to it, unfortunately. A lot of it is just what we're hearing and feeling and the general momentum of a program with the understanding that football has to succeed at a school like this. And even as you look at other universities and what they're doing in the revenue sharing space, everybody has their own magic formula of here's the 4 programs, here's the 6 programs, or we're dealing in everyone and no one's going to have the budget they want. Every school has their own answer to it right now.
What is, I know you've had to have, and you mentioned this earlier, you have to have a close working relationship with the athletic department, but you're not really part of the athletic department. So how does that really work? Because you're affecting those that are attached to that institution. So you definitely play a role, but so how does that work? What is that relationship really like, and how does that changing with some of these recent decisions that have come through?
Yeah, so let's talk prior to June 6th, which was pre-House settlement. Blue Wave Collective is an independent 501c3. Everyone on our staff is a volunteer. We do this because we love the Aggies, we love sports here, we're all business people, and we wanted to help out. We've had a good relationship with the athletics department, though, whether it's Diana, her staff, development, guys like Corey Hansfield, Bobby Nash in the athletic department, whoever it is, they've all been great to us. And we do end up having to work together because the decisions we make as a collective directly affect the success that the basketball team or the football team can have because of the roster that they're able to field. That's just kind of the economics behind the thing. And so initially, in 2023, let's call it, our relationship with the athletic department was a little bit more rocky. As of late, especially under Diana, we've had a much better relationship with them. And as an example, we had a really successful fundraiser in March that the athletic department helped us put on, let us use the West Stadium Center, helped us take care of the food and different things like that. So we've had a much better relationship with them now. It is going to change going forward. I know the athletic department is in their second round of interviews for an associate athletic director of NIL. They're going to hire someone in-house, and that person is going to be responsible for sourcing NIL deals and helping fundraise at the school. And my hope is that we can get in a better position with the athletic department and with the institution itself, meaning Utah State, so that Blue Wave can fundraise and direct some of that money into the school so that donors can get institutional donor benefits. Right? So if you donate to the school, you can get parking passes, preference points for seating, whatever it is. And right now, Blue Wave can't give you those. And I'd like to see us develop a slightly better working relationship where those things can go into the school, the donors can give to the school, get their benefits back, and then the school and whoever they hire to run NIL there can help us run an effective program to keep Coach Mendenhall and Coach Calhoun competitive in their respective sports.
Actually, Dalton, looks like a release was sent earlier this afternoon. Tony Hirel was announced as a senior compliance administrator, but he was going to be promoted to senior associate athletics director of compliance and student athlete services, saying that one of his main roles is with name, image, and likeness regulation. So maybe not quite exactly, but so it looks like some of those same lines. They're moving forward in that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's another burden that's arisen out of the system is any outside deal. So if the school's not paying the money via rev share, any of the deals that the collective is writing have to be audited by a system called NIL Go. It's managed by Deloitte. And you have to plug in the contract to the system. You have to put in everything the athlete is responsible for doing. You have to put in how they're getting compensated. Is it cash? Is it a material benefit? What's the value of the material benefit? And then someone in the athletics department actually has to look up the entity that's paying and, basically plug in some information about them. Are they a big lifetime donor? The NCAA is basically trying to figure out, is this what they consider true NIL, or is it more of a pay-for-play situation? And I've worked with Tony quite a bit in the last 2 weeks. I mean, between me and that guy, we must have put 60 man-hours into getting all of our Blue Wave deals into the NIL Go system, dealing with the quirks of that website, him opening up support tickets for things that weren't working the way they were supposed to. And so the fundraising and contracting piece aside, there's a compliance piece now because of the way the College Sports Commission and NIL Go is running that sounds like Tony is going to have to just take that on as a big part of his job now.
Have you found in doing this and being a part of it for a few years now, have you found that for some people it's a bit of a challenge to decide, do I donate to Blue A Collective? Do I donate directly to the players, or do I donate to the athletic department because that's going to go for facilities and travel or scholarships? Is it become a challenge, or is it not really that hard of a sell to differentiate some of that?
I think people, when we go to talk to them, they typically have their own opinion already. And what I mean by that is they already have an opinion, love or hate, on NIL in general. The amount of people that end up in limbo with like Blue A as an independent organization versus donating directly to Utah State as an institution is typically very low. And I'd say there's a couple that literally the tipping point of giving to the institution has been institutional donor benefits. Like they want to continue to get their points. They want their parking passes. They want those things, and it's important to them. And so they choose to donate to the school. But I would say less about that and more about just the concept of NIL, that some people are very opposed to the kids getting paid, the guys or girls getting paid. And that tends to be the decision maker in my experience.
From what I understand, the Blue A Collective is set up in a way that players have to be able to achieve certain benchmarks. Some of those are more time sensitive than anything else before they can get distributions for the money that they could have access to. Explain how that works and how that is meant to try to keep students and keep these athletes on campus longer, and how well that's working.
Yeah, so we've tried to be really strategic about when we're paying guys. And there's a number of reasons for it. But number one is we found out the hard way early on that if you take a young kid and you give them a lot of money, they're probably going to spend it all. And they'll end up in the middle of their season feeling like you never paid them, right? Or they're getting the short end of the stick. So it's almost like managing morale and the logistics of a team was one of the first lessons that we learned. But like, okay, you have to have a more effective payment schedule to control for these kids and their own behavior, right? That ends up being one important piece of it. The second one is there's obviously a lot of benchmarks around transfer portal windows. The last thing we would ever want to do is get a verbal commitment from a kid, make a payment, and then have them never show up on campus. That would be counterintuitive to everything we're trying to do. And so we are strategic about when we pay to make sure that the guys are on campus, that there is no opportunity for them to transfer away, and then we'll pay some portion of the contract. The other thing is we've tried to be really strategic about our payment dates and backloading our contract. So, the guys have an incentive to get through the end of their respective season, whether it's football, going into December or potentially even January under the right circumstances, basketball at the end of March, whatever it is. Just making sure that they have that incentive to finish school strong, get good grades, don't affect the team in any negative way once you're out of your season. And then for some of them, it even, gives them a little bit of a kind of like the stick and carrot thing that if you're thinking about transferring away, well, we got a last payment that we want to sweeten the pot for you by inviting you to stay here. So that's a few of the things. There's more than that we've taken care of, but we've tried to be really strategic about those payment dates to keep guys here and keep them on a good trajectory.
And then my last question, it seems like Bronco Mendenhall has some very strong opinions about how his players and his program can access some of those funds. What's that relationship been like with Bronco and working with his staff, and how he kind of envisions it, how it should work with his players in accessing those kind of opportunities?
Yeah, Coach Mendenhall and his staff have been just a pleasure to work with. And I think one of the things that really helped us at Blue A is when he came in, he had a very good message to the community that these kids are going to have to work for this, right? It's not anything weird where we're just paying kids, they're getting more than they deserve, whatever else. His system is a merit-based system, and the kids that are getting paid, it's because they're hitting Coach Mendenhall's milestones inside of his system. And for any of you that have had the opportunity to look, he's not handing out money for free. He is working these kids and helping them prepare to be good football players, good men, good students, all of those sorts of things. So, like I said, they've been just great to work with. And I think his system of earned versus given is going to show up on the field for us as we go into the fall. So I've been really excited about that relationship.
Okay, so I lied. I actually have 2 more quick questions. This is actually coming in from our text line, 3714, asking, where are you from? And the second question is, does Title IX require females to get similar money to the males?
Great questions. So where am I from? I grew up in Grapevine, Texas. It's between Dallas and Fort Worth in the Metroplex area. If you've ever flown into Dallas, that's actually Grapevine. So I finished high school down there. I came to Utah, and I actually played 2 years of snow college, and then transferred up here, and I played 2015 and 2016 under Coach Wells, and then I've just stayed here. I loved Cache Valley. It was good to me. Got married. Have 4 kids now, so we're here. We're lifers. We're in Smithfield. Title IX, man, that's a great question. And Title IX is what's looming over Utah State's head right now. We all know we've had some issues arise in the last couple of years. There's probably some ongoing litigation there, if my understanding is correct. Title IX is a really sore point for legal counsel on campus right now, as we can probably all understand. When we talk about revenue sharing, we're dealing in the land of unknown. And most schools are opting into revenue sharing. Most schools and their legal counsel are developing some sort of opinion on Title IX as it relates to revenue sharing. But there have been no firm guidelines from the NCAA or even the Department of Education. And we even got kind of a flippy-floppy answer where Department of Education under Biden put out a memo and said one thing, and then Department of Education under Trump came out with a memorandum and kind of said the opposite, that revenue sharing was not going to be subject to Title IX. And I'm seeing all sorts of opinions about it. I have some schools saying that, the fact of the matter is a lot of the women's sports lose revenue. And so them getting any sort of revenue sharing is already disproportionately equitable in that, they're getting money when their sports typically do not generate money. I don't know if that's a valid legal stance or not, but that's what I'm hearing in certain places. And so the thing I would have everyone understand here is that's been a big issue for us to work through. And our collective and even Diana and the athletic department is still working with general counsel at Utah State to develop a framework for us to move forward with revenue sharing in a way that is Title IX compliant and that feels defensible to them so that everyone can feel good about the decisions we're making and the way we're paying out this money.
Dalton, great stuff. We'll have to have you on again another time, and really interesting to see how this continues to evolve. But appreciate your time today, and best of luck with the new position with the Blue A Collective.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
All right, it's Dalton Forsythe, the new director of the Blue A Collective. Quick timeout. When we come back, we'll give away some tickets to the Salt Lake City Summer League right around the corner here on the Full Court Press.
At Mountain Valley Heating and Air Conditioning, Feel the Love is more than just heating and cooling. It means giving back. 5 complete HVAC systems will be donated to a deserving person or family. Feel the love and nominate that person or family in need at mtnvalleyhvac.com. Nominate prior to September 1st, 2025. See website for all details.
Insist he take you to Jarek's. Picking out your wedding ring is an experience you will never forget. Come to a place where the mood is right and the setting is perfect for romance. Jarek's Fine Jewelry in Logan. The perfect collection of memorable designs, classic creation, and modern marvels. If you want an intimate, romantic experience you will never forget, then insist he takes you to Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's at 930 North Main in Logan.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's.
The Aggies are #1 here. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Make sure your vehicle is prepared for this hot weather. So go and take it into Napa Auto Parts. You can check your battery to make sure it's if it needs to be replaced or not. But if it does, you can get a $25 rebate on Bosch lithium-ion batteries. They're locally owned. Preston and Providence, Napa Auto Parts. Yeah, fun conversation there with Dalton Forsythe. Really informative about what's going on with Name, Image, Likeness, and the Blue A Collective. And we'll have those interviews also with Zach Keller that we had earlier. Put that on our podcast feed that you can find on our website or on our mobile app. And giving away some tickets. We want to give away 2 tickets to go see the Salt Lake City Summer League at the Huntsman Center on July 5th. There's 2 games. The first one's at 5, second one's at 7. And we just asked, like, who are you most interested to see for this Summer League this season? And just got a number of responses, picking randomly, and we're landing on 5805 who texted in. I'd love the 2 tickets for me and my 4-year-old son. We're up here from Texas. We attended the Final Four this year, got to see Walter Clayton Jr. win a national championship, fell in love with the Florida Gators. So it'd be special for him to get to watch the Jazz and Walter Clayton Jr. play again here in Salt Lake City, see him kick off his career with the Jazz. Well, there you go. Had a number of people saying they would really want to see Ace Bailey. And so there's a couple different reasons to go see. So congratulations, 5805. We'll be sure to share those tickets with you here shortly as soon as we get off the air. We'll have another pair of tickets that we'll be giving away tomorrow. So if you missed out tonight, stay tuned tomorrow. There'll be more opportunities to win.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. There's a reason why they say buyer beware, especially in the NBA. In 2023, the Bucks went all in, trading a first-round pick, multiple swaps, most notably 6-time all-defensive selection Drew Holiday to land Dame Lillard. It was meant to push Giannis and the Bucks over the top again. Milwaukee stumbled out of the playoffs. Lillard battled inconsistency, and now with an Achilles injury, the Bucks have waived the 9-time All-Star. It's not just unfortunate, it's a cautionary tale. Veteran stars are alluring. They sell jerseys, pack arenas, offer a shot at a title. But when you give up future assets and foundational players to acquire them, there is a big risk. Lillard deserved better. The Bucks hope for more. But this is a gamble teams take when they chase stars at the back end of their primes. Because sometimes you go all in and you win big. Other times you go all in and you lose. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.